Okay, let's get started again. Oh, yeah, fair point. So, as part of the supply chain, we will actually look in the seminar at some of the implications working across the supply chain. Can we have again more listening skills and less talking skills? Although communication is important, I understand that, but sadly our format dictates this, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. So our second part of the session is actually on project governance, which you will have in another module in a little bit different view. Yeah. So this is really just to highlight where it's coming from and what the driving forces are at the moment. So just to get started with it, again, I have a corresponding chapter here. Yeah, so Ralf Müller is really one of the key authors in this area. There is as well, depending on if you want to go with one of the project books, chapter 9 is actually specific to the project governance. But Harvey Mailer hasn't got it actually covered in its full extent, so I encourage you either to go for Ralf Müller or as well in the Oxford Handbook of Project Management, there's as well a designated chapter on it. Yeah. So why is it so hard? This is actually what I wanted to start off with. Project governance, so be a little bit prepared. It's a little bit of polemic because I have seen many good intents, particularly from you guys. Yeah, I have seen a lot of MSc dissertation students going into companies and working actually in the company on the governance framework. And then the companies say up front, like, yeah, we want to be a transparent organization. We want to comply to good governance. And then I have, yeah, maybe you as well, next semester or the following semester, yeah, wanting to write your dissertation, you sign up for it, and then you hear, but what we really mean, yeah. So just be prepared. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I want you to understand, first of all, the purpose of project governance. It's a very hot topic, has gone wrong very badly in the past on macro scales. Yeah, so the bank crash, or as well the kind of price fixing of currency rates, things like this. It's basically down to, well, governance-wise, this shouldn't happen. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. How do we actually implement it? This comes in the later part. What value does it bring, and how do we prove it? And I have a little warning piece. I've put together with some colleagues some of the quotes that show you, if you have that as a topic, you should maybe consider an alternative plan, yeah, or maybe refine your topic a little bit more broadly rather than trying to make the company transparent. So, there's a recognition that not all companies are ready for proper governance. Yeah. So governance refers to the set of policies, regulations, functions, processes, procedures, and responsibilities that define the establishment, management, and control of projects and programs and portfolio management. This is kind of a new definition, came out in the APM book, and is still one of the best probably in that area from professional bodies point of view. We have to have a look at the theoretical spins later. So this means it often is governance is decision making. Yeah? So making the right decisions, if you want. And this is why here you kind of recognize kind of descriptive features of different parts of the organization. But here are the people that make the decision. Yeah? So governance is about making the right decisions and avoiding bad behavior. Yeah? So if you all rock up with a pirate flag, yeah, and run away without paying, this is probably not right? So then, yeah, somebody made the wrong decision. Yeah. So a chief executive officer is at the top level. This is an interface that kind of provides a vision. So there's kind of the recognition that sits as well, maybe as a mission or something, and filters into the company. So if a whole organization may not comply to what you kind of expect from governance to be, then that may be systemic. Then you have senior management, portfolio management, maybe program management, project managers, and even the project teams that kind of contribute to it. So it's a lift-out behavior, if you want. Yeah. Okay, you can go as well with CSR. This is again from Kerzner. So there are different ways how we can filter between the different ideas. So we played around with that last week as well in portfolio management. So in a way, this is the level that we are talking about in operations where we actually have to deal with governance. Yeah. So again, this is from the APM. What I want to stress here is that they recognize kind of governance being a core element of project management. It's hidden in a lot of text. Yeah, this is the APM. So the application of good governance is to minimize risk arising from change and maximizing the benefits. This is already recognizing that we are, of course, working in changing environments in projects and programs and portfolios. Yeah? It also assures the continued development of the profession and the disciplines of project, program, and portfolio management. This is even APM recognizing that they should encourage you as a project manager, if you want to go by a professional body or something like that, that they are as well responsible for kind of having an eye on the kind of governance, yeah, that ethics are complied by, and whether they have values, yeah, and behaviors that they want to be seen, that you are kind of going along those lines. Yeah. Now, good governance, they go actually into detail. This is for a normal organization, and then they have as well something for joint ventures and change projects. So again, virtually all topics within the body of knowledge contribute towards the good governance. Yeah? I've summarized it, otherwise it would take too long, but I encourage you to read through it. So project, program, portfolio management, the methodologies that deliver the projects, programs, and portfolios have to be trimmed on first of all, legally doing the right thing, but at the same time being actually kind of fair and just. Yeah. If your business model like relies on kind of fooling people into purchasing something that they don't want, then you should revisit it basically. Now, the other elements that kind of pinpoint out in the list sit with knowledge management. So the organization's ability to capture, develop, and improve its capability to deliver. And this is as well important. So basically having an open eye for potential issues. Yeah? So governance issues normally come to you either internally, yeah, and in the old organizations where we didn't yet have internet, it would be normally through rumors. Yeah, in the kitchen you would hear like, yeah, what we are doing there is not the right thing. This is kind of where you notice that something is going wrong. Nowadays we have as well wonderful phenomena like WikiLeaks, you name it. So there is a culture where the organizations cannot play a confinement strategy anymore as we did in the past. Many big companies still try. Yeah, that shows you the intent, yeah, the systemic nature of this. But this is a big thing. Yeah. So life cycle, then as well the structure of underpinning delivery is as well part of it, of course, of how we govern as well our projects and organization. And there's as well a maturity recognition in the development of increasing levels of capability. So even APM recognizes project management maybe not the best history in governance. Yeah, it has gone wrong a lot in the past, but we have now a way of working on it because we have recognized the problem. And it has as well to do with sponsorship, so the link between project, program, portfolio management and strategic management and business as usual. So there are again maybe hidden elements of relationships, and as well the support of the environment. So the support environment that provides P3 managers with a consistency of practice. So you may be as well framed into kind of undesirable practice. And this is again a product of poor governance. So in a way you are basically being put in a situation where you have little option than potentially doing it wrongly or complaining about it. So what does go wrong? Project governance, so this is a little bit polemic, just be aware. If you see this, then the company is not yet ready for a full governance embraced framework. So it goes something, I don't care what the report says, I don't care you are going to deliver late with less functionality, because that is not going to happen. You will be on time and it will work. Now stop wasting our time or your time in my office and go and make it happen. So this is very bad. If you hear something like that, as a project manager, something has gone wrong. Yeah, and this is still happening a lot. I have more, here this was actually the context. 12 months later, the project is canned after being 45 million over budget, and 165 million had spent, so zero benefits. The implementation partner was kicked out. The senior executive kept their job, very important. no questions asked. Yeah, so the point is, it's as well important for you to understand what the game is here. Yeah, and this doesn't have to be this. Yeah, it can be just your dissertation topic. Be aware. Yeah, then it's maybe more interesting in looking at the readiness of governance rather than how to implement some governments. So the important thing to recognize is most organizations don't do it yet, but at the same time, the lawmaker stands already on the other side with a stick, yeah, ready to beat you. So that there's a strange game happening here, yeah. Okay. Other quotes that I had: the project is pushed for time, the deadline is very tight, the team is a little smaller than ideal, so we are going to have to work efficiently and hard, but we will pull together and we can deliver this. Yeah, this is again the optimist speaking, and the project manager, and then the project delivers 35% late compared to a baseline estimate and fatigued staff. Yeah, so you can do that maybe once. Afterwards, attrition rate of 25 of the team members. Yeah. So people fall ill, and they are ill. Yeah. So I've worked on teams like that myself, and some people can stand this for long, but you're really fatiguing them. So and there are more. Yeah. So basically, if you see that the business case doesn't add up, this is a warning sign for you. Yeah. Flag it up and see if you can start an honest conversation. If not, be prepared. Look at plan B and C, and see if you can maybe externalize or redistribute some of the risk to the people that actually kind of cause the risk, or have the power about the risk. Yeah? So then there may be a clue in this. So undefined requirements or requirements not signed off, or you don't even have time to come up with requirements. This is another favorite. Poor management around stage boundaries. Yeah, so you have actually completed and you phone up the client, and as well the kind of suppliers, hey, can we come together and just sign this off? This looks really good. And then, yeah, I can't make it. And then there comes the famous letter, okay, if you don't turn up in a week, we believe you have accepted this. Yeah, and this happens as well a lot. Yeah, so be aware of that. And then technically unfeasible projects are being pursued. A large change program in an organization that doesn't know how to change. Yeah, so again, maybe a big thing. I'm doing too many projects, but start another one. No match to organizations. No match to organization or strategic direction your project that you're doing. Incapable delivery team. You have just been given the people that kind of were out of the project, rather than selecting the people for your project team that you actually need. So it's another classic. And no cohesion or understanding on the benefits expected. So you have this project and you know what you're doing it for, but you don't really know what they're expecting out of it. What are actually the benefits? Why are we doing this? And then huge risk not mitigated or understood prior to the project kickoff. Yeah, so if you see something that is kind of really threatening, can be something like currency turbulences. Yeah, it's kind of foreseeable for the next 2 years. Then and if you're then planning on a very small margin, then you're basically this is suicidal. All I'm saying, take an insurance out, then you don't have to worry. Yeah. Okay. So then post-report, if we look at this is from 2010. It's actually an old chestnut about project failures in public sector largely, but looking as well at large industry purchases. So this is kind of projects initiated as well by governments. So you have a few here. I won't go through all of them, but the key point is that 6 of them relate actually directly to issues with governments. Yeah? So lack of clear link between the project and the organization's key strategy priorities, including agreed measures of success. Yeah? If it's just a budget and you haven't yet defined what the successful delivery looks like, this is very bad. You can't win really as a manager. Lack of clear senior management, ministerial ownership or leadership. So there were as well, you can really look at a lot of governments. In this case, it related to purchase of ships that were supposed to carry planes, and they didn't order the planes in the end. Now they have ordered them, but basically 5 years later. So there was a big question: why did we order the ships in the first place? Lack of effective engagement with stakeholders, and then you have as well lack of engagement of stakeholders it's easier not to talk to people and just sit there and puzzle on the problem yourself, right, and come up with a pragmatic solution. But the right solution is often like hidden in the minds of the stakeholders, of course. Yeah? And then you have lack of understanding of or contact with the supply industry at senior levels within the organization. So potentially big projects like flattening out markets, evaluation of proposals driven by initial price rather than long-term value for money. So especially securing the delivery of the business benefits. So if you're taking a lot of money in the hand and you're just looking at the pricing initially, this is probably not the right way to do it. Yeah. Inadequate resources and a skill to deliver. The total delivery portfolio is another one. So basically, you started off on a very low resourcing scale, but there was really no chance of achieving this. Yeah. So we have as well in governance some that are presented as good examples, and some are Warren Buffett. Does anybody know who that is? I give you a tip. It's a CEO, and but does anybody know for what?
It's music.
Yeah. So the description was right. There's a lot of money. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear that. I don't think that he has that, but he's one of the richest people in the world. You're quite right. He does investment portfolios, so he invests money into companies or industries where he believes the future development potential is very high, and he believes that he is a very transparent person. So he publishes as well his tax report and things like that, and his companies are arguably run under very clear governance remit, but at the same time he is kind of buying randomly different shares, so that doesn't really follow. So the point is, Warren Buffett is often presented as a very governance and transparency friendly person, but he isn't. He's an autocrat at the top, like shifting basically large portfolios around.
But he's basically using it as well, because if he writes it like transparent, other people invest, and like his shares goes up. So it's
yeah, you're spot on. So it's a transaction-based industry. So if people are interested in purchasing, then they basically go for it. So the value of the governance and transparency is have a look at it. So it's actually quite sad. It comes from a paper, so I've actually in the notes a little bit more about it. Yeah. So those that do it often do it wrong if it's presented that way. Yeah. So this very good point. So Warren Buffett actually uses it as a sales pitch, being transparent. But there's already the main authentic part missing behind it. But if you're interested in that case, it's a very good paper. So those that do it wrong. We are going to follow strict methodology here. Is another bad sign. We are going to do it my way. As normally the hidden. Those are the warning signs. Yeah. So if you're in a company and you get told this, we are going to follow a strict methodology. You're going to develop it. Then it's basically we are going to do it my way. And this is not sadly your way as a MSc dissertation student. It's normally the person that you're talking to. So not that there's a confusion. Then I like your buy-in on this. So this is normally it sounds considering. But I want someone else to blame when this is going bombs. So again, as an MSc student, you have their potential. So be careful. We want you to be the executive champion on this project. I don't believe that you would get this straight away, but you may. Who knows? I want to be able to blame you for my mistake, and then there are larger issues at stake. This is very bad. It goes as well. You don't appreciate the refinement of the problem, which is as well true. I have made up my mind, so don't bother me with the facts. So this is particular restricting. So just be aware if you face this. Not yet ready to do the proper thing. So health warning, most organizations are not ready to accept proper project governance yet. So let's have a look what it actually is. So let's go in the literature first. To govern, what is governance? So be careful with the professional. There are actually some that are very good. It depends what industry you're in, but they are already written for an industry. So just be aware of this. governance means more. There are many standards, and depending on what company and what your clients are, you may embrace one of those. There are many more, and no one can agree. This is another important thing to recognize. So governance for project management, this is an old bubble, so you will see that as well in another module, and probably talk a little bit more about it. It's kind of the recognition that you're in an environment of business, economy, people, society, and your organization sits there somewhere. There's a corporate governance, and your project may actually achieve some benefits for your company, but may deliver something else. And then it's basically this this Go PM, governance, project management. Actually, I have to say one thing that is pretty cool. There is a specialist interest group for project management, and they have great titles for governance. So if you get in, it's like Knife and what was the other one? Crash. Yeah, so that's brilliant. So those are the workshops if you want to go. They are kind of descriptive of the themes behind it. Yeah, but yeah. So let's have a look a little bit closer at this. So where do we arrive at it? So we have the project management activities, and there has to be some alignment. Yeah. So we have to think about how can we communicate, how can we make our projects as well more secure, and kind of create the dialogue. Yeah. So something can go wrong. If you recognize and you react to it proactively and you try to avoid it, then fair enough. Yeah. So it's not, you don't have to know everything up front. But for that we need like a certain process between the activities, and there's a portfolio direction. So this goes maybe through project sponsors or project management effectiveness, and then you have as well kind of vice versa. The one way is the disclosure, and then the other one is the reporting. So again, the idea is that you kind of get, if you recognize an environment has maybe potential to be ethically not sound, or there are questionable practices, or you're just surprised by what is actually kind of hiddenly accepted, then you may want to disclose this and report, and you may get a disclosure back regarding what's going on. And respectively, once you have actually established criteria, you can report on it. Are you actually performing against it, or is it going absolutely out of range? So this is like decisions not being followed through, or decisions happening behind closed doors, although you are one of the team members that should sit in on them and inform as well the team. Yeah. So if you're not informing with your expertise, then something is going wrong. Yeah. So very specific project governance. So what is it? Is largely concerned with creating conditions for ordered rule and collective action. The key is really here in the ordered rule. Another one is a set of management systems, rules, protocols, relationships, and structures that provide a framework within the decisions can be reached for project development and implementation. So you can see this is the implementation in a way. This is the operationalization of how we are actually trying to implement this. The ordered rule is still up to the individuals. It's illustrated in behavior. You can't get around that. So you can have all that if then you still have somebody running off with a money purse of your daily petty cash. Then it didn't work that well, right? It wasn't very ordered. So this is a problem. Then you have as well a synonyms for good and transparent management of firms and institutions. This is what you want to arrive, and that is kind of what Ralf Müller kind of suggested, but it's very difficult. Now, where is this coming from? Why are we reinventing this? This is a topic from the Greek philosophers. They talked already about this quite some years ago. The quick answer comes from slightly contemplating, and he was as well a little bit melancholic, a philosopher called Michel Foucault, and he kind of recognized that contemporary governance is grounded in Foucault's philosophy, in which individuals are not directly steered by their superiors, but through subtle forces in the society or company. So this is, what have you seen being legitimate or accepted last time? This is the way how we at the moment inform each other. So if you see somebody taking something that they should probably not take, and you accept it, and you do it too, he is likely to accept it too. So this is basically the idea. I don't know why I refer here all the time to stealing. It's not just stealing, yeah. So there's as well, of course, a code of conduct. We will come to that later. Yeah. So this is in a company, organization. This can be at home in your environment that you grow up, even like peers or family, you name it. Yeah. Which they live or work for. And develop a strategy for creating a domain whereby individuals are responsible and engage in self-care. So in other words, if you embrace an environment where people are held responsible and said like, hey, come on, this wasn't good, yeah, you interfere with behaviors that are undesirable, then you create a caring, self-caring environment, and people will actually start probably to look after it. It's a collegial code, if you want. So Michel Foucault, there are other ones. Nicholas Luhmann has written something similar, but Foucault has written more in English, so that's a better choice. So the origin, of course, first of all, warning sign, project governance is not project control. Yeah? So it's not an element that we can actively control, or it gets very tiring if you try. Instead, it relates to the external environment. It provides the context in which the project is activated and realized to work on and or work for projects. Yeah, I hope that makes a little bit sense. So in a way, governance is as well dictated by who is looking at our projects. Yeah, the external environment. That is basically the driving force. And you will see that governance, what's accepted and not accepted, depends very much on the community that you're building your project on. Yeah. If you do international projects, you will see that governance expectations are very different from place to place. Yeah. So, shall I do a quick practical joke? Okay, quick practical joke. So here we are paying a reasonable tax and northern. Oh, shall I name provinces? Oh, this may backfire. So somewhere in Namibia, there were no taxes, but we had a package of money just ready to be similarly rewarded to an external party that calls itself kind of a governing body. Yeah, all I'm saying is I'm not saying that it's the same, but there are different kind of rules. So we are acting in different political economies and in different kind of communal settings, and they relate to what's legitimate and what isn't. So what do we want from the governance in our projects? Well, let's instead, so objectives of governance, you want to stop things going wrong. And this is not a universal rule, this is contextualized, right? Deliver the right benefits, avoid non-value adding projects, so be as well sensitive to the environment, make sure the right big decisions are made, and not deferred. Yeah, that's another hot potato. So if decisions are not being taken, just wait. And then you have to act. If projects matter, project governance matters too. So this is kind of the remit. So governance is about rules. I had that already. The important element here to take away is you have to make it depending to your environment that you are basing it on. And this is as well the social environment. Yeah? So the rules for governance, it should be with a long-term view. Be negative, not positive. So the idea is you want to see here what can go wrong and what would impact. Yeah? So negatively. Governance is not necessarily looking positively. And if you do this, work out which 30% of what you are doing is wrong. So particularly in risk management, you will actually filter for something like that. Yeah? So with PESTEL, you are looking at social impact. This is exactly where you have to focus on what may be out of your hand. Can you give that actually back to an owner of the risk that is maybe capable to manage it? If you can't manage it, don't take it on. This is actually quite risky then. So where does governance come from? So it's normally rooted in the aims and mission of the business, and the business plan sits as well with corporate governance. Direction, administration, control of companies is of course the interface that kind of provides it, and it's kind of manifested for you through the processes and customs, policies, law that affect these. So who sits on governance boards? It's keep it small. It's normally the recommendation. Keep it senior, so that they can make the decisions. Right. This is a key. No project stakeholders. So important thing. If you want to arrive at an honest conversation don't get the externals involved. That is when all the senior staff will start formulating very flowery terms, and it's not actually operational. So there's a certain danger with that. In the implementation, you want to have maybe something like the strategic influence involved. So this is maybe board of directors, maybe policy formation. This is already codified. It's difficult. It's more about recognizing the right processes. Then project sponsor has as well the crucial role in kind of having the confidence and promoting and maybe stopping as well the project when it goes off trail. And steering group, maybe a principal institution with authority linkage role. Maybe even linking to governance infrastructure and frameworks, they have their own requirements. Then this is basically where it should sit. And stakeholders, all those who have a stake in the project, sometimes something to gain or lose from it through the actions of the project. Again, this is of course as well narrow with staff and wider communities and industry. So as well professional bodies sits of course part of your framework. So the implementation, what questions should you ask? And this is important to realize. Those questions have to be asked repeatedly. So governance is looking out basically for what can happen. Is the project benefit still worthwhile to achieve? Are we going to achieve it? Do we have confidence? If not, what are we going to do about it? Do we stop it here if we know it's not working? So what can we do about it? How does this project compare to our lessons learned? What's the plan B? So if we can't process this way, what can we do? And what are we doing about the key risks? So and those are questions you want to basically revisit. So honesty, is another one. Publish the decisions made and the reasons why. So you can make terrible decisions. Sometimes you have to act quickly, there are time constraints, or the information asynchronic, so they are not symmetric, so you don't have the full picture. But at least you knew what you were doing your decisions on. Open these as well up to scrutiny. You have a team, so relate to your team with the decision if you are the decision maker, and publish the data that informed the decision. Make sure that you don't have the wrong data, or hold the people accountable where the data came from. Now, if you are interested in the topic, it's as well one of my research topics. Have a look at the relevant literature with your area. It's very different from industry to industry. Still it's still patchwork to say the least. And there's as well a question of how to implement it. And this is kind of probably what you should aim for, how you can select the right approach, and then have as well a maturity model that I show you later in the seminars. Okay, I run a little bit over time. Just to quickly summarize, for the governance, you want to define objectives of governance. So set maybe one or two for your team or for your project. Otherwise, it's normally ambiguous. Define the governance team as well. Who are the senior staff that actually support you? Have a list of questions. I named a few. You can refine those. And then publish the decisions and the data to support them, measure the value and delivered. Measure the value delivered. And this gives you a very fair tool to see if you want to actually pursue it or not. If you follow that, you will not be in the news for failing massively or having potentially a legal case against you. Okay. Any questions? Okay, it was quite a quick run through it. I have to apologize for that. But thank you very much. I see you in the seminars.
What's the difference between project management, governance and project management consultancy?